Meow, everybody. Cantonese Cat here. I'm here to talk about Ethereum. There's going to be a lot more attention being brought onto Ethereum now because the price has simply gone up. This is kind of how it works, unfortunately. When the price is down, everybody is kind of crapping on it. When the price is up, everybody started paying more attention to it and giving more benefit of the doubt. I've been really talking about Ethereum for about the last year or two on Twitter, and I have been investing weekly. I've been doing weekly DCA, sometimes heavier than others depending on the price. But I've been really buying into Ethereum for over the last year and a half, 2 years. And I'm still very bullish on it. I think in January 2nd, I made this whole long thread about Ethereum, how I'm bullish on it, give you my bullish thesis in terms of fundamentals as well as the technicals. The thing is, I got a bunch of views, but it's still not popular at all. Like, I don't really see anybody else really talking about Ethereum, maybe with the exception of like Jesse. That's pretty much it. It is one of those things that if you're an optimist, if you believe in innovation, it is basically the largest ecosystem of decentralized applications. Now, I'm not even going to pretend I know exactly what Ethereum does because even most people who study Ethereum for many, many years don't really even know what Ethereum does. It is evolving. There are a bunch of decentralized applications on there called smart contracts. Their functionality of them evolved, the narrative of them evolved. The last cycle we had decentralized finance. There are a lot of people who just kind of talk about decentralized finance, this and that. And then we also got into NFTs that became a hot thing for a while. But I think we might just be scratching the surface of the applications for Ethereum. And there's also a possibility where the AI narrative can also come into play and could potentially make smart contracts even smarter. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, right? So I just want to bring your attention to Ethereum in terms of its fundamentals. Another fundamental about Ethereum is that over the last couple of years, there have been a couple of fundamental changes about it. It used to be proof of work, which means that a lot of miners would use their machines to try to solve algorithms, to try to mine Ethereum. And with the mining situation, with the proof of work, the increased supply would have been about 3% of increase over the last year and a half, and that would have created a lot of selling pressure, right? Because miners, you know what they do? They're trying to make money. When they mine something, they're trying to sell, and that could potentially create a lot of downward pressure to the price. But since we switch over to the proof of stake algorithm, the supply simply has decreased significantly just because of that. You just don't have as much increase in supply due to proof of stake compared to proof of work. And the other thing about the tokenomics of Ethereum is that they've instituted burning of Ethereum. So because it didn't used to be this way, I think about 2 years ago, when you use Ethereum, but it didn't completely get destroyed. Now it gets completely destroyed. It gets burned. Because of the tokenomics, you're really looking at the fact that with all these things being instituted, you're really looking at Ethereum as a true deflationary asset. And there is a projection that, Ethereum could potentially decrease by, I guess it's a little bit too far out, but it could potentially decrease by a lot over our lifetime in terms of supply. And that can put a lot less selling pressure onto it. The other thing is, I just simply want to talk a little bit about the chart of Ethereum, right? It goes through cycles. It is very cycle sensitive. It's very liquidity sensitive because it is a big asset within a big asset class that is very speculative. When there's increased liquidity, money flows into Bitcoin. And when money flows into Bitcoin, there's going to be money that eventually flows into Ethereum as well. People are going to want to pump one thing and jump to another. Right now, we might be at the beginning stage of a very, very powerful bull market, just like we were here. Now, I think this might be a little better illustrated if we look at the monthly chart. I always like to take a look at a few indicators and kind of show you what I think. First one is going to be the Bollinger Bands. If you can see here, I like the fact that there's a Bollinger Band squeeze right here. just like it did here before the last bull market. Basically, what Bollinger's Band squeeze means that there's not a whole lot of volatility that's been going on for a while. And because of the lack of volatility, what contracts will eventually expand. And when it expands, it either goes up or it goes down by a pretty significant amount. With the fact that you look at the basis here, which is the 20-month moving average, if it points up, if the price stays above the upper part of the Bollinger Band, most likely it's going to go on pretty huge run up, right? And with an asset as compulsive as impulsive as Ethereum, is very likely that it's going to keep riding one way and ride upper Bollinger Band up that way until it doesn't, until it gets exhausted, until it falls over, right? And you can see, you can already get some clue that over here is really starting to roll over. Most likely the trend is starting to be over. And as it roll over, it's starting to roll over the other way here. And guess what? It's curling up again. And guess where the price is? It's on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. And guess what it's doing? Is pushing the upper Bollinger Band up. And guess what the squeeze ended up doing? Is causing expansion of the Bollinger Band. And this price, as it keeps going up, it's going to expand the Bollinger Band. And as the Bollinger Band expands, it's going to allow price to continue to go up as well. I think we're just maybe at the beginning stage of this. By looking at this, if you're looking at a long-term view, you're talking about potentially this thing potentially going for another 12 to 18 months. It's very possible, right? Until money runs out, and unless if there's some kind of, black swan event that causes huge deflation, there seems to be increased liquidity that's being poured in the system. And you can see it in Ethereum based on the way that it behaves. Now, in addition to looking at the Bollinger Band, I really like to look at Ethereum using the Ichimoku cloud. The Ichimoku cloud started developing around late 2021 and the beginning of 2022. There simply just hasn't been enough price action for the cloud to appear until about last year or so. And we get more indicators now because of that. But even before the cloud appeared, you have, in addition to the cloud, also the couple of lines right here that you can see. The red line here represents what we call the Tenkan line, and the blue line here represents something called the Kijun line. If you look at the lines here, some people drew the color, in a different way. Some people would prefer to draw the Tenkan blue and the Kijun red. To me, it doesn't really matter. The concept is there's a conversion line, there's a baseline right here. And I'm also going to basically, I never really like to use lagging span. I don't find it to be particularly helpful. But I like to look at conversion and baseline together with the cloud itself because they tell you something. Conversion line, if it's above, generally indicates a bull trend. But if it's below, generally indicates a bear trend, right? And when those two cross each other, that's when it really starts to become a very, very bullish trend. Once the Kijun goes below the Tenkan, or there's also something that's, if they end up overlapping together, there is a concept known as the katana, where they're really, really close aligned to one another. But as you can see, the Tenkan line is still above the Kijun line, so the entire thing over here is a bull trend. And when this happens, it can get pretty parabolic. When the two stream kind of cross together, kind of like Ghostbusters. I don't know whether or not you guys have seen that. But these two stream crossed together, the regional one anyway. When they cross together, it can become a very, very powerful trend going upwards. And you can see that this happened for about a year or so, and a lot of money was to be made based on the liquidity that's being poured in, right? Guess what? The red is about to cross stream with the blue. I think these streams might be crossing soon. Now, I don't know whether or not going to join together and go up together like this, or is it simply that the Tenkan is going to get over the Kijun and is going to develop a bull trend. To me, it doesn't matter. To me, what I'm seeing is that there is going to be a pretty powerful monthly bull trend that's happening soon because the Tenkan is about to cross the Kijun. Now, in addition to looking at this, you can also see that once the price action gets above the cloud, Usually, the cloud can serve just like any lines or any moving averages. The cloud itself can also serve as resistance. What happens usually is that if there's a red cloud, it serves much better as a resistance than as a support. And if it's a green cloud, usually it serves much better as a support than as a resistance. To me, green means go, right? It really tried to push through here for the last couple months, and it kind of got rejected for 2 months in a row, and has finally decided that it wants to push through the cloud. Now, as far as I'm concerned, at resistance, I'm still going to be a little bit more cautious. I don't know whether or not it's just going to keep going up and push through the cloud and just keep going up. I suspect that they most likely are going to have some resistance right around here, around the 3,000 level, just because 3,000 is a round number. It can serve as kind of like a psychological resistance number. And also around the top of the cloud right here is around $2,881. I think that eventually this could still potentially serve as resistance. I think the price has gotten over it for now, but the month is still early. Even if it closes right here by the end of the month, there's also still a potential for it to still come down. And I'm still not completely ruling out that it could potentially go down to 2,500 before going up again. That is still a possibility, and even if it does that, the overall bull trend will still be intact, and it's still a very, very impulsive bull trend here. Now, with that said, I'm very much positioned because, like I said, I've been buying. I've had a pretty sizable position in Ethereum. If it goes up and it just defies physics and it doesn't respect the cloud, just keep going up after breaking through, great, right? I mean, it could also break up and eventually come back and test the top of the cloud and go back up too. That's also a possibility that I'm also willing to accept. But the fact is that this is a bull trend. You can buy here. If it comes back down, some of the risk level, you're really talking about maybe 2,500 that could potentially serve as a pretty decent support, right? That would be a potential risk level that you might have to watch out for. If you end up buying here, most likely it's going to keep going up over time. But short term, you might potentially experience some pain. Not guaranteed though, right? I mean, I would love to keep buying Ethereum, keep less than 3,000. That would be ideal. But I just want to show you the different possibilities because we're right at this resistance at the top of the cloud and at the psychological level of 3,000. I just want you to be a little bit more mindful of that. Now, in addition to it being a psychological level of 3,000 and the top of the cloud, I also like to draw the Fibonacci level to kind of show you from the all-time highs to the recent bottom. There also is a resistance level here at the 0.5 Fibonacci level retracement, which I usually these things doesn't push up that far. Like down here, you can see that it pushed out about this Fib retracement level, but even then it kept playing around a little bit, right? It kept playing around up and then it went back down. Eventually, it was able to break out, right? Here at the bottom of the cloud, right here, that also has confluence with the 0.382 level right here, and you see that it got rejected once and twice before it finally broke through, right? So I suspect that the price could potentially play around here for a little bit. I hope it does because I'm still trying to buy my last buys of Ethereum. And if I'm able to buy as cheap as possible, that'd be great because I see great things coming over the next 12 to 18 months for Ethereum. And we're right at the resistance, so I wouldn't necessarily do anything like, impulsive, like using leverage or anything like that, just because I really don't know how it's going to go. I'm not smart enough as some of the short-term traders. I just don't know how it's going to go. You can look at open interest, you can look at, these different volumes in shorter time frame, and you can try to speculate what it's going to do, and, you can trade that short term, but I really don't know. I see it potentially picking up and going down, retest and going up. After that, I just have a hard time seeing it just going straight up. Also can see it going down, find some support down here and go up again. That would actually set a very powerful base, and that would actually allow the price to go up in a very, very healthy manner. I would prefer that because I'm buying, and I would prefer that because it makes it healthier, but the market doesn't listen to me, right? Now, those are the kind of key things I'm seeing with Ethereum price action. I mean, you can look at the weekly chart, you can look at the daily chart. It doesn't really give me that much value by looking at those kinds of things. I mean, obviously, if you look at the bull market support band, it's like, it's bullish. It's hugged it for a little bit. try to form a little bit of a stage one accumulation range, but then right now it's truly become impulsive, it's truly breaking up, and that's I don't have anything else to say. I don't think this really adds anything to it. If you want to look at potential targets, I already show you the Fibonacci levels. Last cycle, actually I should probably show you the last cycle first. Last cycle, it was actually a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. You look at the last, the previous cycle high to the the bottom from the previous cycle. You can see that it hit 2.618 and it went a little bit above it, and then it just fell flat after that. So the last cycle actually was a little bit less, how you said, a little bit more underwhelming. Well, the fundamentals of Ethereum has changed. The tokenomics of Ethereum has changed, and there is a good chance that it may not have diminished return this cycle, and it could still hit 2.618. The way it's going right now is looking like it's going to hit all-time high. There's a good possibility it's going to hit 1.618. I still think that there is also a good possibility that it can get into a 5-digit Ethereum during this cycle, based on how impulsive the price action has been this cycle compared to the last, right? I know obviously nobody really knows how far these things go, and there are going to be people who are going to take profit along the way, but these are the potential price targets I'm really starting to look at, and I'm really starting thinking that 2.618 is a very much a possible target. You can see how far price goes, and you can see how it reacts. You can continue to trend the moving average going up and see whether or not you can try to time, when the 20-month moving average is starting to roll over. You can try to time the top that way. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. It's important to know what your risk tolerance is. The higher it goes, the higher the risk is going to be. So these are some of the targets I'm kind of showing you. Whatever you decide to do, whatever it is that you think will happen, that's completely up to you, right? One last thing I want to say is that there's going to be time where Ethereum is going to underperform some of the other L1s, some of the Ethereum killers per se. To me, it's like this. Back in the 90s, there's a huge demand for computers and internet. Best Buy was a big thing, right? I remember when I had nothing to do, I would go to Best Buy and just shop around, look around, because that was the hot thing back then, right? You're going to have a bunch of people that are going to try to become Circuit City, if you guys even know what Circuit City is. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to become, Circuit City and try to sell a bunch of stuff and try to ride the coattail of Ethereum. And sometimes Circuit City might even have better sales than Best Buy. But, honestly, Circuit City is not there anymore. Best Buy's still here and is being overshadowed by Amazon. The trend right now, Ethereum has the lead right now. There are a bunch of other alternatives that are going to be competitive with Ethereum. I still think Ethereum is going to be a thing. I still think that it's still going to be a staple of the cryptocurrency world. It's still the second biggest market cap, and I'm still very bullish on it. In addition to all that, there's also a way, while you're waiting for Ethereum to go up, that you can also earn some yield, maybe about 3% or so. You can stake yourself, or you can stake some at Coinbase. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can actually earn yield on Ethereum, which is even a more powerful narrative on it. Anyway, it's been close to the 20-minute mark. I'm going to shut up about Ethereum. Thank you for listening. Bye.